trusted partner in open source management.
License compliance is taken more seriously. Um, and I think nothing gets taken more seriously than when it's taken to court. And because of that, I have a couple of court cases from 2024 that I'm going to talk about. And I think they're very interesting, and it helps us understand what is happening and what's likely to happen during 2025 and beyond. Um, the first one is Sebastian Steck versus AVM. And this is a bit of a David versus Goliath kind of case, where we have on the one hand side a single developer from Germany, which of course had the help of the Software Freedom Conservancy, that takes on one of Europe's leading manufacturers of home network equipment. So we have a single developer against a very large company in Europe. Again, I said a single developer. That's where the case started. But I want to emphasize that the Software Freedom Conservancy was representing Sebastian. And the story goes that Sebastian in 2021 bought a router from AVM called Fritzbox 4020, and he wanted to add some login functionality to the firmware. So had access to the code, particularly an LGPL library, and he did not have access to scripts for compiling and installing the software. So the license obligations for the LGPL will not fulfill, and that led Sebastian to sue AVM in a Berlin court in 2023. And in 2024, the court ruled in favor of Sebastian, so that AVM had to release all of those scripts and also pay legal fees. So we see that license compliance or license obligations are enforced. And I think for those of us that love open source, you got to play by the rules, and is good news to see that this is being enforced in courts. The next one is, now we go from Germany to France. And here we have the case of Introvert versus Orange. And Introvert is a French software company, and Orange, I'm sure you all know about, is a major telecom company in Europe. And this case, what happened was Introvert developed a tool designed to handle single sign-on implementations called Lasso, and released under the version 2 of the GPL. And this was a tool that Orange took, modified, and distributed without complying with the license obligations. And that resulted on Introvert suing Orange for a GPL violation. And what happened here is that the Paris Court of Appeal ruled in favor of Introvert, and Orange had to pay over 900,000 euros in both financial losses and moral damages. And I think that's kind of interesting. I've never seen moral damages being considered in this type of cases. So very interesting to see. Brad, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just more from a practical perspective. So, I mean, what are perhaps some practical steps we can take to ensure compliance with open source licenses? So one is make sure you understand what open source you're using, especially in distributed products, and that you've documented each license that applies. So this most often requires the use of software composition analysis tooling that scans the source code. Once you have that, make sure you're following all of the license requirements. And our aim should really be full compliance with all open source license obligations. But we should make sure that we at least comply with those obligations that aren't really up for debate, like providing notice and attribution, copies of license terms, etc. This is like low-hanging fruit, and it's been the trigger for many of the topics and cases that John was just speaking about. So just maybe some quick key takeaways here. Open source licenses, the obligations are not optional. The open source licenses are legally enforceable. And as John mentioned, violating them can lead to big fines. And finally, in order to reduce some of the risks, it's important to develop policies and processes to manage your use of open source software.
Your trusted partner in open source management.